Our story begins under a beautiful sky. A monk asks someone if he wants to know about Waiyanho. We are introduced to the living Buddha, Master Musan. A frail scholar replies that he does. He's collecting material to record Waiyanho's history. With a forced smile, the monk says Waiyanho, known as the radiant martial sovereign, was benevolent and upright, surely sent by the Buddha himself. The scholar eagerly notes this down and asks what Waiyanho was like in daily life. The monk grows uneasy, unable to maintain his calm. Finally, he bursts out cursing Waiyanho, saying he can't go on. Shocked to hear a monk curse, the scholar nearly faints. The scene shifts to the Peng clan of Hubei, where the scholar is kicked out. The elder, furious, demands to know why such a pathetic man would dare inquire about Waiyanho. He orders a whole bag of salt to be scattered where the scholar stands. The scholar is shaken, surprised that everyone reacts the same way to Yanho's name. We then hear the official account of Waiyanho, the radiant martial sovereign, a legendary figure who ended the age of chaos, a gentleman, a hero, and a chivalrous warrior celebrated across the world. Some call him the greatest of all time, others the ultimate warrior. The scholar travels on, using his Qigong technique, wondering why everyone avoids speaking about Waiyanho. As a historian, he feels duty-bound to uncover even the hidden truths of the past. He confirms that from Shaolin to the Peng clan, the responses are identical. The moment he speaks Yanho's name, people recoil. Before he can finish, the mad dog cuts him off, declaring it's only natural they know what kind of man Waiyanho truly was. From his perspective, Waiyanho was the worst of men. We are shown young Waiyanho at 12 years old, half asleep, mumbling about becoming the strongest. Born into a martial clan, he was raised in the warrior's code of chivalry. He already knew the fastest path to the top, relentless effort. But for such a boy, there was one small problem. He always put things off. We see young Yanho staring at the sunset, then lying back under his blanket, muttering that it's a shame. Today was supposed to be the day he began building his foundation. He consoles himself by saying he'll train tomorrow. Suddenly footsteps approach. A man enters his room, calling Yanho to get up, then shouts at him again until he rises. This is Yai Zhonghan, patriarch of Guangdong's Yai clan, a righteous swordsman and Yanho's father. He demands to know what time it is. Yanho says he saw the sun. His father retorts that despite seeing the sun, he's still in bed. Yanho cheekily answers that the sun is setting. His father asks how long he has locked himself in his room. Yanho guesses 2, maybe 3 days, then settles on 2. Furious, his father calls him a useless brat. It has been 4 days. Yanho had been rolling around, bundled in his blanket, for 4 whole days. His father glared at him and asked if his back didn't hurt from lying there so long. Even a bear would flip over from the sweat after 3 days, he snapped. With a nervous laugh, Yanho replied, "That's why I get up every now and then." Hearing this excuse, his father clenched his teeth in anger. Yanho added, "Actually, I tried to train today, but every time I opened my eyes, the sun was already setting. And if the sun is setting, you have to sleep so you can wake up early tomorrow for training." Exploding with rage, his father shouted, calling him a useless brat, then flipped the entire bed over. He roared that he would finally fix Yanho's rotten attitude today. That day, in the great Wai household of Guangdong, the sun was already going down. The scene shifts to the Guangdong Wai clan's office, where the patriarch sits clearly troubled. He mutters that this year may be his last. The clan administrator, Zhou Bang, approaches and asks if his worries are once again about the second young master. The patriarch sighs. Who else could it be? Zhou Bang reassures him, saying Yanho will surely grow out of it in time. The patriarch shakes his head. It's all my fault, he admits. We then learn about Wai Zhonghan, patriarch of the great Guangdong Wai clan. He had married Han Sang-a of the Wai clan. Together, they had 3 children, the unborn Wai Suryan, their eldest Wai Sanho, and their second son, Wai Yanho. Back then, Zhonghan believed his journey away from home would last no more than 2 years. Yet fate dragged him into countless incidents, and only after 8 long years did he finally return. In that time, he earned the title of righteous chivalrous swordsman. What he lost was far too great. When he finally came home, his once gentle wife had grown as fierce as a tiger, and the son he thought would never be a problem had become nothing more than a lazy sloth. We see Zhonghan sigh deeply. Zhou Bang tries to comfort him again. Do not worry, patriarch, there must still be a way. And what way is that? With a knowing look, Zhou Bang replies, "Has the patriarch forgotten? He will be returning soon." The patriarch pauses, then realizes who the administrator is speaking of. Zhou Bang explains that after 3 years, someone will be returning from the academy. The patriarch smirks slyly. There is one person Wei Yanho actually fears. We see someone step up behind Yanho. He suddenly shivers, wondering why he's getting chills. Turning, he sees his older brother. We are introduced to the eldest son of Guangdong's Wei clan, Wei Sanho. Sanho calmly asks Yanho how long he's been asleep. Nervously scratching his head, Yanho tries to dodge the question, asking when Sanho got back. But Sanho insists he answer first. Yanho stammers, avoiding his brother's sharp gaze. Flustered, he blurts out that it's not what Sanho thinks. He trained hard early this morning, really hard, but only took a nap because he was tired. Sanho cuts him off with a stern shout, saying he'll take responsibility and demanding Yanho show him what he's got. Yanho hesitates, then draws his sword. With determination, he charges forward and attempts to demonstrate the soaring dragon technique. But when he slashes at a candle, nothing happens. Yanho freezes, realizing he messed up. Disappointed, Sanho declares that 3 years is more than enough to master a sword technique and move on. Yet Yanho has only grown worse. The scene shifts to the Wei family's dinner hall. They sit down to eat. Yanho thinks to himself he's going to get indigestion. He's sure of it. The patriarch asks Sanho how life was at the martial academy, whether he faced any difficulties. Sanho replies that training without hardship isn't training at all. His father acknowledges his struggles and says he has endured much. Sanho humbly replies that it was his father who bore the greater burden, being away from the family for so long. The patriarch nods, then asks if there are any other matters. Sanho answers yes. 1. The matriarch leans forward, asking what it is. Sanho's gaze shifts to his younger brother. He says it's about Yanho. Everyone looks up in surprise. Sanho suggests that Yanho must be brought to the martial academy. The scene cuts to Mad Dog's narration. He says that even Master Musan and Peng Dojuk grind their teeth at the mere mention of Wei Yanho's name, and that was when history truly began. Back then, no one could have imagined that this lazy boy would one day shake the world. Just like that, Yanho was half forced into the martial academy. His family watched with mixed emotions. His little sister, Wei Surian, clung to him in tears, begging him not to go. Their father, laughing, told him to return as a man. Yanho comforted his sister, telling her not to cry. He'd be back. From Mad Dog's perspective, the journey of Wei Sanho and Wei Yanho was smooth. Well, at least for Sanho. Yanho, on the other hand, constantly complained. At one point, he asked his brother if they were almost there. Sanho replied flatly, "There are still 10 more days." Sanho was just answering Yanho's question when Yanho suggested they rest. He asked if Sanho realized how steep the hill was. Exhausted, Yanho groaned that his back and butt felt like they were about to burst. Spotting a group of people lying under a dead tree, he pointed and told Sanho they should rest there too. But when Sanho looked closer, his expression changed. Dismounting from his horse, he approached the bodies. Yanho, confused, asked what he was doing. After checking them, Sanho said grimly that they were too late. Everyone lying there was already dead. Shocked, Yanho froze. Sanho then revealed something on one of the corpses, explaining that this was the flower-indulging palm, once called the crimson flower palm. But because of a criminal named Seoji Ki, a rapist who used this technique while committing atrocities, it had become infamous as the flower-indulging palm. Horrified, Yanho asked if that meant the rapist was nearby. Sanho explained that Seoji Ki targeted women traveling through the mountains. These dead men must have been ambushed while trying to protect a woman, which meant somewhere nearby, a woman was still in danger. Sanho ordered Yanho to stay behind with the corpses, then rushed off, saying he would return soon. Left alone, Yanho grew increasingly frustrated. He looked at the horses, then at the lifeless bodies, muttering that he was doomed. Dark clouds rolled in, and the sky turned as if rain could fall any moment. Yanho shouted into the distance, calling his brother a liar and demanding to know why he was taking so long. He thought Sanho should have just taken him along. Otherwise, he would never be this late. Uneasy, Yanho realized he had to do something or risk becoming a tiger's dinner if he stayed put. Suddenly, thunder cracked overhead, followed by rain. Yanho and the horses stood in the storm, soaked, as he muttered that he was really in trouble. Trying to take action, he attempted to hoist the bodies onto the horses' backs, but it was no use. He reasoned he couldn't leave them to be eaten by tigers, yet he couldn't bury them either. It was raining too hard, and he needed shelter. The horses suddenly became restless, refusing to listen. Another flash of lightning and a loud crack of thunder spooked them. One of the horses lashed out with its hooves, striking Yanho and sending him tumbling down the hill. He hit the ground hard and groaned in pain, cursing the horses as he clutched his back. Forcing himself up, he noticed a cave nearby. Relieved, he stumbled inside, glad to have found shelter from the storm. Moments later, the horses also wandered into the cave. Yanho tied them down, muttering that he couldn't even bring himself to hit them. Looking at his mud-soaked clothes, he sighed bitterly. What a mess. This, he thought, was exactly why he preferred staying at home. Yunho leaves a mark outside the cave so Sanho can find him. With nothing else to do, he lies down, telling himself his brother is strong and will be fine. Soon, Yunho falls into a deep sleep. Some time passes. Suddenly, a faint blue light begins to gather around Yunho. The glow slowly wraps around his body, lifting him gently into the air. Still sleeping, Yunho is carried deeper into the cave, or so it seems. The light slips him through what looks like an invisible barrier. Yunho wakes up, startled. He looks around and mutters, "Where am I?" The place resembles the cave, but the structure feels different, strange. Did I roll deeper while I was sleeping? Then a voice echoes, "Faded human." Yunho freezes. His eyes dart around. A voice? He panics, stumbles back against the wall, and screams. A glowing blue spear of light flickers before him. Trembling, he blurts out, Is the voice coming from that glowing thing?" "Yes," the voice answers. "I have transcended the limits of flesh. I speak to you from beyond time and space. Accept my will and rule this world." Yunho shrieks again. "It's a ghost." "Do not be afraid," the voice replies calmly. "I am already dead. Only my will remains here. I left this legacy for the one destined to find it." At that, Yunho suddenly smirks. "Wait, a cave with no one around, the lingering will of an old master. This feels familiar. Could this be fate?" His eyes sparkle greedily. "The heavens must be rewarding me for my kindness. If I become strong here, I'll never need to go to that martial training hall." The voice continues. "I will teach you my radiant sword, train tirelessly. If you devote 30 years, you may be able to replicate even a fraction of my art. Since you bear the old bloodline, you should have the talent needed." Yunho blinks. 30 years? He waves his hands furiously. "No thanks, old man. Find someone else. I'm not wasting 3 decades in a hole." Back to Mad Dog's narration. And that, my friends, was the fateful encounter that should have made the loser Yunho into a legend. But Yunho interrupts fate itself. He shouts at the voice, "This isn't destiny. This is a scam," and turns to run. The light trembles. Wait. Suddenly, the glow reshapes itself into the form of an old man. Yunho stops, points, and declares triumphantly, "Ha! I knew it! You're a scammer pretending to be a ghost." The old man frowns. "How dare you? I am a spirit, my body long gone." Yunho scowls, not buying a word. He swings a fist straight through the old man, and promptly trips when his hand passes through. He screams in terror. "You really are a ghost." The old man's face darkens. "This is spirit transmission arts, something only the most advanced martial artists can achieve." "I am not a ghost." But Yunho just shrieks louder. "Nope. They call that a ghost." The old man finally snaps, roaring in frustration while Mad Dog's narration cuts back in, underscoring the absurdity of Yunho's fateful chance. Mad Dog smirked and said, "And that's how Yunho met his master." The young scholar leaned forward, curious. "Wait, does something like spirit transmission arts actually exist?" Mad Dog nodded. "It's a technique only martial artists at the absolute peak can attain." The scholar pressed further. "Then, who's one martial artist who could use it?" Mad Dog chuckled. "You know the Sword Emperor, right?" The scholar scoffed. "Of course, he's the strongest man in history, the greatest of the Thousand Swords Beck clan, a master who will forever be remembered in martial arts." "Exactly," Mad Dog said. "Beck Muhan, the Radiant Sword, the man who later became known as the Sword Emperor, was once the disciple of the Radiant Martial Sovereign, the very same old man Yunho stumbled upon." The scholar's eyes widened. Wait, the Sword Emperor lived over 300 years ago. Mad Dog leaned back. That's right. He belongs to a generation long forgotten. Back inside the cave, Yanho, already fed up. Listen, old man, I can't learn from you, so I'm leaving. The spirit narrowed his eyes. Did you really think I'd let you go so easily? With a wave of his hand, the cave entrance rumbled and sealed shut, a massive stone slab crashing into place. Yanho scowled. Seriously? The old man laughed smugly. What do you think? That door is solid stone, thicker than 10 men. With your pitiful strength, you'll never break it. But Yano just pulled out a dagger and started scraping at the wall. The old man blinked. What are you doing? Can't you see? Yano said without looking up. I'm digging a hole. What? Stone is stone. If I grind at it with metal long enough, it'll break down. Give me a year or two, I'll dig my way out. The old man stared in disbelief. You'd actually do that for 2 years? Yanho snorted. Hilarious, coming from someone who wanted me to train for 30 years. A year or two sounds like nothing compared to that. The old man's face twisted. This brat, he's insane, and I can't even kill him. Grinding his teeth, he forced a smile. Fine, just try learning from me. I promise, I won't disappoint you. I don't like you, old man. Humph. Then how about this? I'll allow you to leave after 20 years of training. Yanho groaned and turned over. Still too long. I might consider it if you said 3 years. The old man's hands shook in rage. This bastard, this rotten bastard. I had never even heard of a spirit as vivid and lifelike as the old man. Yonho, with a sly grin, thought maybe the technique wasn't something that could just be passed on with words. Maybe the old man was telling half the truth. If so, then perhaps he really had been the strongest master in the world. Yono decided to use this chance to become a martial master himself. Finally, Yono sighed and said, Fine, I'll give it a try. Back to Mad Dog. He explained that of course Yonho had no idea the old man was the Sword Emperor. It was truly unfortunate. The legendary master, at the end of his life, just happened to meet a lazy sloth. The old man roared, You bastard! Wake up! Yonho yawned. I'm tired. Don't you ever sleep? Oh wait, that's right. You're dead. But I'm not. Humans need to sleep, you know. And so Yano spent his days sleeping until evening and practicing each move once, maybe twice. The furious Sword Emperor bellowed, At this rate it'll take 50 years, not 5. Yonho groaned. Isn't there an easier way? It's already as easy as it gets, the old man snapped. Yonho muttered, If only he'd stop talking, at least he'd be less annoying. Baekmahan's spirit shook with rage, so close to a chi deviation. If only he still had a body, he would beat Yonho black and blue before teaching him. But there Yonho was, rolling lazily across the cave floor. Then Yonho suddenly asked, Hey, how'd you drop that giant stone gate earlier? Can't you use that power to move my body and teach me martial arts directly? The old man frowned. That? I only triggered a device I'd set up beforehand. But you don't have a body, Yonho argued. Doesn't matter. I pulled the string with psychic levitation, using chi alone. The Sword Emperor suddenly froze, then burst out laughing. Yano tilted his head. What's wrong with you now? Finally gone crazy? No, the old man cackled. For 300 years I've been bound by this spirit, always thinking of what I couldn't do without a body. But thanks to you I realized I can still move things. Rocks, walls, whatever I wish. Yonho's face went pale. He stumbled back in terror as the old man's laughter echoed through the cave. And if I can move rocks? The old man smirked and said he could do something like this. Rocks lifted into the air with his chi. Stop! Wait, let's talk! Yonho shouted, but Baekmahan hurled the rocks straight at him. From that day on, their training continued without pause. Yonho spent his days drilling swordsmanship, and at night they argued and debated martial theory. Whenever Yonho slept, he practiced the unparalleled dream mythic arts the old man passed down. The sword became his life. And just like that, 5 years vanished in a flash. When he finally returned, the world itself would tremble. But one day before his departure, as Yonho dozed off, the old man called to him. Still groggy, Yonho muttered, I wanted to sleep a bit longer, before noticing something strange in the old man's expression. Sit cross-legged. Come here, Baekmahan said. Puzzled, Yonho obeyed. What's going on? The old man's voice was softer than usual. I spent my whole life chasing martial arts. I thought if I reached the end of the path, I would gain everything. So I abandoned everything else, my children, my family, my clan. In the end, I became a bitter old man no one cared to find. But I was wrong. Martial arts is a human pursuit, and without walking alongside others, the path is meaningless. It was you, Yonho, who made me realize that. Yonho frowned. Master, why are you talking like this? It sounds like we won't see each other again. The old man nodded. It's time. Panic filled Yonho. What are you saying? You think I'll fall for this? Baek Muhan smiled faintly. I've endured centuries without food or sleep, but that's not something even I can sustain forever. My power has reached its limit. It's time to say goodbye. Yonho clenched his fists. Then why didn't you tell me earlier? I could have gone out, found food, come back, and we could have kept training. The old man chuckled. No, if you had left this cave, I doubt you would have ever returned. The old man sighed softly. I understand how you feel, Yonho. Rising to his feet, he added, but I truly enjoyed the time we shared. I wanted to walk the world with you, to see its sights by your side, but this is fine too. He looked at Yonho with rare fondness. In his dimming eyes, it was as if he could already see Yonho crisscrossing the world. Go, the old man said. See the world, and keep those sights within you. If you do, everything else will follow. But remember, see people before you see the world. I spent my life looking far ahead and never saw what was right at my feet. Don't make the same mistake. His gaze grew distant. Even if I can't see you again, even if you're never great or outstanding, that's fine too. Master, Yonho's voice cracked. You can't leave yet. I still have so much to learn. Just stay a little longer, even a single day. The old man smiled faintly. His final words echoed, Be happy, Yonho. Tears streamed down Yonho's face. You old fool, you could have said something earlier. Back to the present, Yonho sat irritated, clutching a folded cloth. So that's why the old man left without warning. He shook it angrily. When did he even prepare all this? He should have just left peacefully instead of pulling this crap. What the hell is this? On the cloth was a message left by Baek Muhan. In short, the martial arts Yonho had crammed into 5 short years were still incomplete. Since Yonho would slack off once his master disappeared, the old man embedded a safeguard. The inner elixir Yonho had swallowed would push his martial arts forward. But it wasn't a free gift. It was bound to Yonho's spirit. If his training ever lagged behind the growth of the elixir, his own inner energy would collapse, and Yonho would die. Scowling, Yonho muttered, That damned old man. Always scheming something. Another line on the cloth read, Travel the world, see different things. The message ended with a lesson. When you see the world, you will feel. When you feel things, you will learn things. Don't be satisfied with becoming a small person, staying in a small place, see big things, and become a big person. So first go to ruling, find the world's greatest scholar and stay with him. Wu Yonho is dumbfounded. While stretching, he says that he was going to go home, so don't worry too much, mother and father. While looking towards the cave, says that he have to do what he must. Then he bows in respect to his master. Standing up, he says that he won't be back and leaves. While we see him walking away, asking, Where's Rulin anyway? We see a presence forming in front of the cave. Master Baek is laughing very loudly, saying, If Yonho failed to keep up with his training, his body would wither away like a dried-up mummy, and he would die. What kind of martial arts works like that? But Baek Mohun couldn't allow him to waste away in some forgotten corner of the world. The world was too vast, too important, to let Yonho rot in obscurity. With a satisfied smile, Baek Mohun had declared it would be a waste of Yonho's talent otherwise. The scene shifts to Kaifeng. Here, we meet Zhang Al, branch leader of the beggar sect. Spotting Yonho, Zhang Al frowned. Who is this mummy? Yonho replied calmly. I came here to ask something. Money? Zhang Al asked. Do I need to pay? Of course. Nothing in this world is free. Zhang Al studied him. His voice sounded like that of a young man barely in his 20s, yet his face looked closer to 50. In all his years, Zhang Al had never seen such a beggar. He scratched his head. Honestly, I'd help you for free since we're in the same trade, but rules are rules. Same trade? Yonho asked. Yes, Zhang Al smirked. We're both beggars. Yonho blinked. How do I look like a beggar? Zhang Al says, he is obviously a beggar. Anyways, if he has no money, Zhang Al can't give him any information, so he should leave and come back with some money after doing some begging. To which Wei Yanho retorts, why would he beg when he is not a beggar? Zhang Al replies with a straight face that once you beg, you are a beggar. And he looks like he could make money just by putting a basket in front of where he sits. So why is he wasting his talents? Zhang Al stops mid-sentence as if he just realized something. He stands up, grabbing both of Yano's hands, asks him if he wants to work for him. Yano, surprised, asks, with what?
The scene cuts. Suddenly, a mountain of silver sits piled before Zhang Al. His eyes lit up. Half a year of branch expenses in half a day, the god of wealth himself has come. Laughing, he asked what Yano wanted. Yano requested a list, the names, residences, and specialties of renowned scholars and blacksmiths. Zhang Al, sticking to his word, agreed but told him to return in 7 days. Instead, Yano sprawled out on the spot. I've got nowhere to go and nothing to do. I'll just stay here. At first, Zhang Al waved it off. Fine. But after a few days he came to deeply regret those words. One of his men came rushing in, panicked. Leader, trouble, Zhang Al scowled. What trouble could beggars possibly have? The beggar gasped. At this rate, we're all going to starve to death. Dragging him outside, the man showed him the source. Zhang Al's eyes widened. A passerby sneered at the sight. If you're going to be beggars, at least be beggars on that level.
The beggar is filthy. From the carriers, Zhang Al orders them to bring cold water from the damned mountains. Lying face down, Yanho mutters, nice, how nice, which only fuels Zhang Al's rage. He fumes, thinking, I'm a branch leader of the beggar sect. Yet here I am, acting like a servant for this useless beggar. Time drags on, and Zhang Al curses under his breath. When's the information Yanho asked for going to arrive? At this rate, we'll all starve before it does. Just then, one of the beggars rushes in, beaming. The information's here, he shouts. Hearing this, Zhang Al brightens too. They hand over the documents, and Yanho scans them before scoffing. Is this all? You really expect to sell trash like this for money? Confused, Zhang Al snatches the papers back and flips through them. His face darkens. Are those bastards trying to get us killed? This is barely half of what he asked for. He grits his teeth, realizing something has to be done. Yano asks dryly, so the information's incomplete because I didn't pay enough? Without answering, Zhang Al drags him elsewhere to get what they need. They both reach the house sect. Standing before the house sect leader, Gui Nangnang, she says that it's rare to see a fox dog here. Zhang Al bows and greets the branch leader. Yano chuckles and says, Zhang Al, is it your nickname, you little bitch? Zhang Al continues his conversation, saying that he needs information, while Yano playfully calls him bitch. To this she asks with surprise why the branch leader has come to house sect to ask for information, knowing all too well that they are rivals. Zhang Al says that he is not there for the beggar sect. He has brought a customer, while Yanho is still mocking him. Gui Nangnang, with a puzzled face, asks if he is joking or trying to insult them, and tells him that they don't have any information to sell to the beggar sect. Yano finally cuts in, saying that he is not from the beggar sect. Gui Nangnang says that if they keep insulting them like this, she will have to take action. Their pride won't allow it, and turns to leave. Yonho asks her if house sect is not an information organization. Yano then smirks and says that she doesn't even know if he is from the beggar sect or not, and she doesn't even have the basics down. Anger is evident on her face. She turns around and asks her guard who Yano is. Her guard replies that he doesn't know, but he is not from the beggar sect. Yano shrugs and says that now she can sell information to him. To which she says no, she doesn't want to, and tells them to get out. Yonho just laughs and says that she doesn't have a business mindset. He is offering her money, and she is still refusing. He thinks that it is not long until the house sect is done for. She warns them to watch their mouths if they don't want to have their limbs cut off. Yonho asks her if he is wrong calling her old lady. She fumes in anger, asks if he is trying to insult them, and tells her guard to teach Yonho a lesson. The guard moves towards Yonho with great speed. Zhang Al tries to protect Yonho, but Yano pushes him aside and slams the guard to the ground. Everyone is shocked. Yano says sorry, it's his habit to counterattack if someone tries to attack him. Zhang Al knew that Yano had learned martial arts, but he didn't expect him to be that strong. Yano scratches his head, saying that this is all that old man's fault. Gui Nang Nang, with a polite gesture, says that she didn't know that he was such a prestigious customer. To which Yano asks, "What is she talking about? She has been talking to him this entire time." Gui Nang Nang, with a sharp look in her eyes, says that anyways, it doesn't seem like they are here with any good intentions. Zhang Al says that they are not here to fight. There was just some information that the beggar sect couldn't find, so he came there to ask for help. She asks if he knows that it is akin to bringing a tiger into a rabbit's den and asking for just some fur. She says that she will believe him, but giving him information is a separate matter. Yano has hurt her guard, so she needs compensation for that. She reminds them of the rules in the unorthodox world and calls for the 4 shadows. 4 people come out of hiding. Yonho sighs and says that everyone has a fancy way of making an entrance in this place. With a confident look, Gui says that she doesn't know their purpose for coming, but they won't leave in one piece. Yono says that he already told her that it was a mistake. He just hit him lightly because he tried to attack him. To which Gui replies that the ways of the unorthodox are simple. An eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. Yonho says that it all sounds like some loan shark bullshit, while Zhang Al tells Yonho to stop provoking her. Gui says that they will only take a bit of flesh from his face. Yonho replies that he doesn't have any flesh in his face because he hasn't been able to eat properly these days. Ginengneng grows furious with every remark Yonho makes and sends the assassins to kill Yonho. They all try to attack Yonho while he stands scratching his head. First they wanted some flesh, and now they want to kill him. The interest is just piling up. With just one attack, Yonho crushes all the assassins and orders everyone not to move because he doesn't want to kill anybody. Gui is shocked by his power. Yonho tells them that his master once said, if someone is willing to attack once, they will be willing to attack again, and he doesn't want to let that happen. He adds that he doesn't like that old man, but he has never said anything wrong. Fear visible in her eyes, Gui thinks that she messed with the wrong person. If she doesn't handle this correctly, the entire branch of the house sect will meet its downfall. She asks Yonho what he wants. Yonho answers, information. Gui asks what kind of information. Zhang Al shows her the papers and hopes that she can fill in the empty spots. Gui looks at the paper and thinks that Zhang Al brought such a monster to the house sect only because he wasn't able to resolve such a small matter. Gui says that it is nothing difficult, she just needs time, and tells them to wait. With a furious expression, she tells Zhang Al to go see her. Inside, Yonho, clutching his stomach and laughing uncontrollably, says to Zhang Al that his face looks like a dumpling. Did she beat him up? Zhang Al, with a swollen face, asks Yonho to shut up. Yonho mocks Zhang Al, saying that the beggar sect is nothing, seeing that its members get beat up by the house sect. Zhang Al retorts, asking if that woman looks normal to him. She's the daughter of the house sect leader and ate miracle pills like meals. How could he beat her? Gui appears behind Zhang Al and says that she has brought the information. While Zhang Al shrinks in fear, Yonho thanks her. All of them sit at a table. She says that they have their own rules. Zhang Al tells Yonho that she's talking about the fees. Yonho asks, how much? She says 5 nyang. Yonho presents 5 copper nyang. Then Zhang Al tells him that it's silver nyang. Yonho is shocked and asks why it's so expensive, to which Gui tells him that the info was highly classified, so it's pricey. Yonho stands and starts to walk away. Zhang Al asks him where he's going. Yonho replies that he has to go and earn 5 silver nyang. Zhang Al stops him, saying that he brought him there for a reason. He then takes out 5 silver nyang, a bit hesitant, not willing to give all his savings, and shouts in frustration that he had to use up all his hidden savings because of Yonho. Yonho looks at the paper and says that it's really thorough, even better than the info the beggar sect got. It seems like they're on a whole different level. Yonho tells Gui that he wants to send a letter to Guangdong and asks if it will be expensive. Gui says that it will be, but she'll do it for free if Yonho answers some of her questions. She asks for his name and age. He replies, Yonho, age 17. Zhang Al is surprised, realizing that Yonho is younger than him. Gui ponders Yonho's name for a bit, then asks if he is the second son of Guangdong's Wei clan. Yanho, with a surprised tone, asks if she knows him. She answers that of course she does. Guangdong's Wei clan requested them to find him. Zhang Al asks, if he is from the Wei clan, then is he Sanho's younger brother? Yanho asks if he knows his older brother. Zhang Al says of course, because they are friends. Gui tells him that the letter will take 10 days to arrive. Yanho says that it's all right, they waited for 5 years, 10 more days won't hurt. Gui gives him a red cloth and tells him that if he ties it somewhere, an informant will find him. Thinking that creating a relationship with Yanho who can take down the 4 swords will be beneficial, she smirks inwardly. Yanho asks if it is for free, to which she says no. Yanho replies that in that case, it's useless. Gui compromises by making the next piece of information free, but only for Yanho. Zhang Al and Yanho leave the house sect, and Zhang Al is feeling down because he spent all his money. Yanho tells him that money comes and money goes. A beggar shouldn't be so greedy, he should just tap into his beggar roots. Zhang Al clenches his fist in anger, thinking that he can't even beat Yanho. Then he brushes it off, saying that Yanho got the information he wanted, so they won't see each other anymore. Yanho places his hand on Zhang Al's shoulder and says, "Wait, there's a problem." Zhang Al asks in frustration, "What is it now?" Yanho says with a cheerful smile that he doesn't have any money. Zhang Al fumes with anger. Back at the house sect, Guinangnang calls for Gongmu and tells him to send a letter to the clan, informing them that the second son of the Wei clan has returned as a martial master. The scene shifts to the Great Hanlim Institute in Songlin. Moon Yuhuan, the 3rd Grand Scholar, is enjoying tea. His daughter comes to him, saying that a guest is here for him. This is Moon Unji, the daughter of Moon Yuhuan. Yuhuan says that he doesn't have anything on the schedule today. Moon Yunji replies that the guest said he wanted to play a game of Go with him. Hearing the name of Go, Yuan gets excited. Moon Yunji brings Yanho inside. Yanho says that he hopes he's not intruding. Yuan replies, "Of course not. It's always nice to have guests," and asks if he wanted to play Go, pointing to the table. Yanho says that it's the only thing he knows how to play. Both of them sit at the table. Yuan says that he will play white, so Yanho should go first. Yanho says that he will begin and takes a piece from the bowl. Yuan, seeing Yanho, thinks that he shouldn't expect much from him. He seems like someone who came for a free meal, so he should just help him out after the match. Yanho places the piece on the board. Yuan thinks that at least he's not a beginner. The game continues, and Yuan realizes that Yanho is very fast. It's rare to see someone this experienced at such a young age. Then Yuan stops, thinking, what the hell is going on? He's not just fast, he's a war demon. Yanho mocks him, asking if he isn't going to play. Yuan thinks that it's amazing. Yanho's playing style is like an angry ocean wave. He is like a person crazed for battle, attacking boldly, even if a fight is not necessary. If he sees even a slight opening, he charges like a starving demon and chomps down. Yuan pays his respect, saying that it was a good game and that he has a unique playstyle. Yanho thanks him and says that it's all because of the bullying he endured from his master. Yuan asks if he had a master. Yanho, reminiscing about the past, says that he did, a very strict old man. Yanho asks if it's not too much, but he would like to stay for a bit. His master told him to stay in Rulin for a while. Yuan agrees to help Yanho, saying that he will prepare a room for him so he can stay as long as he wants. He tells Moon Onji to prepare a room for him and guide him to the bath as well. The scene shifts to Yanho taking a bath. He thinks that it feels so nice. It's as if he is almost going to cry. This is that damned old man's fault. Moon Onji is waiting outside the bath for Yanho, sulking. She doesn't get why her father accepted a guest like him. Yanho steps outside the bath. Unji, surprised, lets out a scream. She says that she thought he was a ghost. Handing him a towel, she tells him to cover up. Yanho takes the towel, ties it around his waist, and asks if it's good enough. Moon Unji, surprised by Yanho's look, asks him who he is. A few days later, Moon Unji requests her father to say something to Yanho, saying that he doesn't leave his room all day, he sleeps all day. If he is not eating, that's what he's been doing all week. Yuan looks at his daughter and says that he forgot to ask for his name. Unji says that he once said sloth is a sin and one should always keep themselves busy, so why is he not saying anything about Yonho being lazy? Yuan calls Unji by name and says that he likes Go and that she can learn a lot about an opponent when playing Go. You can hide your facial expression and watch your words, but you can't hide when playing Go. A person who is impatient cannot play patiently, and those who are not patient cannot learn to enjoy battle. You can tell how someone has lived their life along with their personality. His playstyle is rushed and rough. He is definitely not a lazy person. Yuan is sure that Yonho has lived a very rough life, so one should not chase out a bird that has come under the roof to avoid the rain. He tells her to let him rest. Unji, standing behind him, listens carefully and says, "All right." Inside Yonho's room, Unji sees Yonho sleeping. She thinks that her father has been deceived. There is no way that this lazy person is like her father described, and she is going to kick him out. Unji tells Yonho to get up. Yonho, still half asleep, asks, "Why?" Unji forcefully pulls his blanket off and tells him to get up because the sun is up. Yonho sits up, scratching his head, and asks Unji to tell him when the sun sets. Unji, being annoyed, asks Yonho, "What the hell is wrong with you? Everyone studies here, so why do you do nothing and sleep all week?" Yonho answers, "They want to study, so they study. I want to sleep, so I sleep. What's the problem?" Unji tells him to shut up and says that she can't stand watching him just roll around without even taking a bath. "Who do you think washes your bed sheets? You need to at least do something to pay for your food. We can feed people who study, but we don't have enough to feed someone who just lazes around." Yonho, sitting on the floor, says, "But your father said." Unji cuts him off, saying that she is the one in charge of the money. Then Yonho, with a blank face, asks, "Then what should I do?" She takes Yonho to the laundry space and tells him to do the laundry, saying that it's not much. Seeing the big pile of laundry, Yonho asks if it will cover his food, saying, "Someone will think you're putting gold flakes in my rice." Unji tells him to make sure that it's clean, otherwise she'll make him wash them again. She smirks, thinking that he won't be able to finish it all today. Unji is stunned. In just 2 hours, everything is shiny and clean. She thinks, how the hell did he do that? Meanwhile, Yonho is sleeping on the roof. Unji clenches her fist, thinking that she can't let him just laze around again. This time, it's cutting wood. She tells him that she'll give him a week and asks if he can do it. Yonho asks if he has to do it all. Unji laughs, thinking that he'll run away after a day. When she comes back, everything is done and Yonho is sleeping on the logs. Unji thinks that it's impossible. It should take 10 people 10 days to finish. The same happens with dishwashing and gardening. Unji is getting more frustrated by the minute, thinking, how is he so capable? Mad Dog states, that is when Yonho's rule in life began. But it was a mistake to take him in. He should never have let that guy into his house. The scholar asks why. Mad Dog replies, because that guy brings disaster wherever he goes. It may not be intended, but wherever he goes, trouble follows. The scholar asks Mad Dog what happened. The story continues with Yonho playing Go. Yonho asks himself, how did it come to this? I thought it would be occasional. Then we see a large crowd in front of the scholar hall. Someone says that they must have received it. Someone else says, he must be very good. I wonder how unique his playstyle is. Another replies, I was curious too, so I came in a hurry. Yonho thinks that bringing people here to play with him is cheating. We see that some time ago, Yuan wrote an incomprehensible poem to call people to play with Yonho. Yonho is clearly bored as another one of his opponents loses. Yonho asks for the next person. People think that a master of Go has appeared in the Hanlim Institute. The matches continue. Yonho's opponents can't understand what kind of move he made. They think it's practically suicide, or perhaps a mistake. But the person sitting in front of him is the genius of Hanlim. He suspects it must be a trap, so he makes another move. On the other hand, Yonho curses himself, saying, why did I back down there? I did that so that I could lose. He thinks that if he doesn't lose, he will be playing forever. But the opponent bows and admits his defeat. Yonho, while crying, forces a smile and hopes that someone will please take the bait. Tired, Yonho returns to his room and states, I kept making suicidal moves to lose, but they just scared off my opponents instead. He grabs his head in frustration, thinking that at this rate, more people will come to play with him, while groaning from back pain. He mutters that he'd rather do laundry. Just then, Yano hears someone quarreling. He looks down the corridor and sees Nok Mukbung asking Moon Eunji if she really doesn't want to marry him. Moon Eunji, arms crossed, replies firmly, "Absolutely not." Nok Mukbung warns her that she will regret it. He tells her to think it through again, saying that he will never let go of something he wants. "I'm just offering now, but if you keep refusing, it won't be an offer next time. And the great Han Lim will fall because of you." Eunji, with firm resolve, replies, "He can do whatever he wants, but that great Han Lim won't fall that easily." Nok Mukbung counters, "Sure, but I can make it happen, and you know that." Eunji, hearing the threat, grows angry and shouts, "I hate that about you. Do you think everything will just work out for you?" Nok Mukbung tells her, "It's not impossible." Eunji shouts back, "I will never marry you, so it is impossible." She turns and starts to walk away, saying goodbye. But Mukbung grabs her hand. Eunji screams in pain, asking him to let go. Mukbung tells her coldly, "It is in your best interest not to anger me." Getting even closer, he says, "Does she think that she can act boldly, even if he tries to take her right now?" Eunji's whole body is shaking, fear evident in her eyes. Just then, Yeonho cuts in, saying that it's not something he should be saying in someone else's house. Eunji breaks off from Mukbung, and walking towards Yeonho, asks him if he has already finished the laundry and firewood. Yeonho tells her that he was playing Go until now and asks her what she is talking about, but he sees her trembling hand. Then he takes a ribbon from her, asking her to let him borrow it. Yeonho ties his hair with it and walks towards Mukbung. Mukbung asks Yeonho if it isn't rude to listen to others' conversations. Yeonho says sorry that he doesn't really know his manners, but that Mukbung shouldn't be talking about manners. Standing face to face with Mukbung, Yeonho asks, "Do people who care about manners usually act like you do?" Mukbung asks Yeonho if he is the genius of Han Lim. Yeonho thanks him for recognizing him but says he doesn't know who Mukbung is. Just when Mukbung starts introducing himself, Yeonho cuts him off, saying that it's fine and that he doesn't care anyway. Hearing that, Mukbung gets furious and tells Yeonho that he should have just continued playing Go instead of getting in his way. Yeonho smirks and says that it's a shame, but he is really good at getting in people's way. Mukbung, gritting his teeth in anger, curses Yeonho. Just then, a crowd of people passes by, greeting both Yeonho and Mukbung, saying that they should play again tomorrow. Mukbung, seeing the crowd, backs off, telling Eunji not to forget that if she doesn't come running into his arms in 3 days, then he will do things his way. Yeonho asks Eunji who he was. She tells him that he is Nok Mukbung, the adopted son of a palace attendant who has a lot of power. Yeonho asks Eunji what he was talking about. Eunji tells him that he wants her to marry him. Yeonho asks her, "What's the problem?" Then he is from a good family and he is also determined. She asks Yeonho if he wants to die. Eunji tells him that he doesn't want to marry her because Mukbung likes her. He just wants to use her because her father has a really good network in ruling. He can even be a politician, but he lives like this because he has no interest in civil service. Yeonho makes fun of her, saying that it must be because of Go, to which Eunji replies, "No. It's because the eunuchs of the imperial palace are very wary of her father." Yeonho asks, "Isn't her father just an owner of an institute? So why would the eunuchs be wary of her father?" Eunji answers Yeonho that this is not just any institute. They are not affiliated with any other organization, so getting to this point was very hard. The reason the eunuchs are in power despite being corrupt and useless is that the forces haven't united to drive them out. But if her father were able to control the forces of Rulin, then the eunuchs would be in danger. Eunji says, yes. That's why Mukbung's father is very desperate to stop her father from becoming an official. One way of doing that is a marriage between Mukbung and her. We see Mukbung kneeling on the ground apologizing to his father. He says that a person called the genius of the Hanlim appeared, so it might be a little hard to continue with the plan. Then we are introduced to the head of the eunuchs, Nokgi, Mukbung's father. He says, the genius of Hanlim, someone who plays Go all day. Mukbung tells his father that he is not the problem, but there are people from all over the nation coming to play Go with him. There are too many eyes watching, so it would be bad if he were to do something. Nakgi says that he understands why he is so hesitant, but this mission is not for his sake. Hearing that, Mukpung is confused and sweating in fear. His father states that taking over the palace is a mission given by the one and only, so failing the mission is not an option for both him and Mukpung. Nakgi says that he is more afraid of disappointing him than of death, and asks Mukpung if he understands, to which Mukpung replies that he is well aware. Nakgi advises Mukpung that sometimes violence is necessary and tells him to use the crowd to his advantage and kill them all, including the genius of Hanlim. The scene shifts to the Hanlim Institute in the morning. The royal head inspector, Li Wangya, the brother of the emperor, asks if Yuan is still not interested in a government position. Yuan says that he is sorry, but no, he is not. The head inspector asks him why he can't see that he needs to be at the center maintaining balance to stop Nakgi. Yuan just stays silent. The inspector says that their movements have grown suspicious lately. There is instability in the military as well as among the scholar officials. Nakgi is getting into their heads. The head inspector says that he knows Yuan wants to ask why a man who cannot have children wants to start a revolution. Yuan replies, yes. The head inspector says he thinks there is another master whom Nakgi serves. The terror of the political fight between the eunuchs is beyond imagination, and Nakgi has managed to get past them all. Those who opposed him died of accidents, and those who did not died of diseases. It's strange, as if someone was paving a path for him. Yuan says that it might be a coincidence. Li Wangya replies that he thought the same until recently. But after watching him, he got the thought that there might be someone helping Nakgi behind the scenes. That's why he needs Yuan. They need to unite against Nakgi. Yuan says that he will think about it. Changing the topic, the inspector asks Yuan about what kind of person the new genius he has taken in is. Yuan gets excited and says that he is amazing and feels that he is hiding his true potential. The head inspector asks when he can meet him, since he is curious. Yuan tells him that Unji has already gone to pick him up. Just then, Unji calls her father saying that they are here. Yuan tells them to come in. Yanho, completely soaked, asks if he was called. Yuan apologizes for calling him and asks if he slept well. Yanho answers that he did, only if someone didn't pour cold water on his face while he was sleeping. Yuan says that he is glad that he slept well and introduces him to the royal head inspector. Yanho bows and says that there seems to be a grand reason behind their visit. Li Wangya says, "What reason could there be? I want to play Go." Yanho replies that he can't play. Li Wangya, surprised by his reply, asks if he hasn't been playing Go with people coming by. Yanho says that he is not saying that he won't play, but there is an order to things. While fixing his clothes, he explains that there are people who came before him, so he should wait his turn. Li Wangya laughs and says that he can resolve that and ask the others for their understanding. Yanho says, "But that's not solving anything." Li Wangya seems to have a high social status, so people would be forced into going along with whatever he says without a choice, not because they agree with you or understand. Yanho adds that he values promises and rules. Li Wangya thinks that Yanho seems firmer in his beliefs than he expected. This is going to be difficult. He asks Yanho if he can't do something about it. Yanho doesn't budge and says that he needs to wait his turn. Unji intervenes, saying that she thinks she can resolve this problem. Yuan looks at her with confusion while the old man is still struggling with Yanho. Unji puts her hand on Yanho's shoulder and tells him that if he plays this game, she will cancel all the Go matches he needs to play today. Yanho, a bit hesitant, says that it's tempting, but what if she also cancels tomorrow's matches? Unji denies and tells Yanho not to try to bargain for any more if he wants to rest today, and asks him to make his choice. Yanho hurriedly sits at the table to play Go. Li Wangya looks at Yuan side-eyed, who is also silent. Li Wangya thinks that this is the worst. He is not a man of his words. He wants to leave, but decides that he better see it through and see what kind of person Yanho is as the game begins. After the game ends, Li Wangya is sitting quietly at the table. Yuan asks him if he didn't enjoy the game with him. Li Wangya thinks back to the game. Yano has such a violent and quick style of play. One wouldn't see such a play even on a battlefield. He wonders what kind of life Yonho has lived. But he is not the right one. The laziness and the violence are not what he wants. He answers Yuan that it was a waste of time and that he doesn't understand why Yuan values him so much. Yuan answers that it's because he saw something. During one of his games, he made a prophylactic move. Thinking the game was over, he took his eyes off the board. What he saw was that Yano had fallen into a trance. Li Wangya asks if he saw correctly, to which Yuan replies that he is sure. Li Wangya laughs and says that he doesn't intend to take him either way. Yuan says, "Is that so?" Li Wangya says that he wasted his time but got to see Yuan, so it wasn't a total waste of time and he'd better leave early tomorrow. Yuan asks if he is that busy. Li Wangya, looking at the night sky, says, "What a shame, this is so perfect." We see a man with a mask telling Mukpeng that the preparations are complete. Mukpeng says, "All right," and tells them to get it done quickly. All of them answer, "Yes, sir," in unison and leave. The assassins attack the Hanlim Institute at night. A guard notices them, but soon after, he is dead. The assassins kill all the guards and take all the scholars as hostages. Mukpeng appears and reminds them that they should have listened when he was being nice, and orders the assassins to make the Great Hanlim Institute a prison from which even a rat cannot escape, while Yonho is still fast asleep. Mukpeng, with a sinister smile, says that today he will teach that bitch a lesson. All the residents of the Hanlim Institute have been taken hostage. Yuan asks Mukpeng what the meaning of this is. Mukpeng reveals that they have received information that there has been suspicious activity in the Great Hanlim Institute. They have heard that all kinds of high-ranking authority people have been visiting recently. Yuan retorts, "How is that suspicious at all?" Mukpeng asks, "What reason could there be for people with both political and martial power to gather? But rumors can be easily made up." Then he asks the assassin, "Where is Yonho?" The assassin informs him that there are no more people in the institute. Mukpeng smirks, hearing that he ran off, saying that he must have left earlier, because it would be impossible to run away after they got there. Turning to the hostages, Mukpeng says that all of them will be freed if they are innocent. He will free them and apologize if he doesn't find anything suspicious. Just then, an assassin comes with a book in his hands, saying that he found it. He tells Mukpeng that it is a book of agreements of people who were plotting a revolt. Yuan, terrified, says that they have never done such a thing. Mukpeng shows them the book and says that they have proof right here. Yuan realizes that he has come to frame them from the beginning, and now they are done for. Other scholars of the Hanlim, overwhelmed with fear, say that they are innocent. They didn't come there to take part in such activities. Then the head inspector comes forward, saying, "What an interesting incident." Mukpeng, surprised by his presence, calls him by his name. Li Wangya gets furious and demands that he calls him the royal head inspector. Mukpeng bows and says that he wouldn't have done this if he knew that he was here. Li Wangya, with a calm voice, says that he is not one to hold grudges, and tells him to free them. Mukpeng says that before that, he would like to ask him one question, and that is, why did he plan this revolt? Mukpeng, laughing sinisterly, asks Li Wangya if he really thought that he wouldn't know that he was here. Li Wangya retaliates, asking, "What are you talking about?" Two men hold Li Wangya down, while Mukpeng continues, saying that there is always a central figure to the revolt, and he doesn't think that it's some scholar. It would make sense that it's him, a family member of the emperor. In rage, Li Wangya tells Mukpeng that his arrogance knows no bounds. How dare he frame them? Does he think that he can avoid the consequences of his actions? I will never let him get away with this. Mukpeng tells Li Wangya that he is misunderstanding something. He will never get to see the emperor again, because the punishment for a revolution is immediate execution. They will all die here. Li Wangya says that heaven won't forgive him for this, while Mukpeng just ignores him and, taking out the book, says that there is someone who needs to die first, and that's Moon Unji. Moon Unji, tied up, sits calmly with a blank expression. Mukpeng, getting close to her, says that he told her that he would do things his way, and thanks to her rejection, everyone's going to die. She screams in disgust that she would rather die than marry someone like him. Mukpung touches her face and tells her not to worry because he won't kill her. He will inflict so much pain that she would think that death is a better outcome. Unji asks him if he thinks she would just let that happen. She would rather die than be humiliated by him. She sticks her tongue out, ready to bite and die. Mukpung says that if she kills herself, then her father will be the one to suffer the torment. If he kills himself, then the rest of the people here will suffer the torment. Grabbing her by the hair, he asks her to kill herself, saying that he wouldn't mind having more people to entertain him. Yuan, seeing this, calls to her, screaming. She hopes that someone will come to help. Just then, she opens her eyes and sees something, and it leaves her speechless and disgusted. It's our boy Yanho, trying to sneak around. He climbs the wall, and just when he is about to get out, Inji calls out his name. He looks back as if a kid got caught eating snacks from the fridge. Sitting on the wall, he laughs awkwardly. Inji asks him what he is doing. Yano asks if she can't tell he is trying to book it. She asks if he is joking. He asks frantically, what's wrong with saying that he is booking it, when he is? Or maybe he should be saying that he is excusing himself. Unji says that he should be helping them. Yano says that it is hard enough to keep himself alive. Annoyance overflowing from her face, she says that he learned martial arts. He can help. Yano brushes her off, saying that she is overestimating his skills. The best thing for him would be to act as if he didn't see anything. Yano tells Mukpung that he didn't see anything, so he should keep doing what he was doing. Everyone looks at Yanho, thinking, what a piece of shit. Mukpung tells Yanho to stop, saying that he is already involved in the revolt, and the entire world will be after him. Yano says that he can't be sure of that. Mukpung calls Yano a fool and says that the world is big, but it won't be hard to find him. Yano says, then you should look for me later. Mukpung tells the assassins to get him. An assassin lunges at Yanho, sword in hand. Just then, Unji tells Yanho to run. Hearing that, Yanho smiles softly. While the assassin is charging at him, he asks, she was telling me to help earlier, and now she is telling me to run. So what should I do? Just as the assassin is about to hit him, he moves behind him, leaving an afterimage. The assassin, seeing this, is surprised. Yano hits the assassin with his elbow, sending him crashing to the ground. Unji watches in awe, surprised by what just happened. Yano, standing on the wall, tells her that she is very strange. Everyone is shocked seeing his skills. Mukpung, surprised, mocks Yanho, saying that he had some skills after all. Yanho thanks him for the compliment. Mukpung, pissed, says that it wasn't meant as a compliment. Mukpung calls the leader of the assassin squad and asks how long he has to endure the humiliation. The leader apologizes and says that he will take care of it now. Mukpung tells the leader not to kill Yanho so that he could rip him apart with his own hands. The leader of the assassins moves towards Yanho, but Yano asks him to wait for a second because he doesn't have his sword with him. If you wait here for a moment, I'll go fetch it from my room, he says. The assassin calls him crazy. Yano points out that he is already old enough, and yet when a younger guy says that he's going to grab a sword, he has a problem with it. The assassin tells him to shut up. Yanho thinks to himself that the world wasn't like this 5 years ago, so how did it get so harsh in the meantime? He sees a broom lying on the ground. Yano picks it up. The assassin asks him, "What are you doing?" Yano answers, "Since you won't let me get my sword, I'll just use this." The assassin, displeased, asks Yanho if he is mocking him. Yano asks why the assassin is angry at him. He can still allow him to grab his sword. The assassin, approaching Yanho carefully, says that he won't kill him, but he will make Yanho feel so much pain that he would wish for death. Even if he cries, Yanho, impatient, cuts him off, asking, "Can we start already? I just woke up, and I'm still sleepy." The assassin, furious at Yano's remarks, rushes at him. Just as he is about to hit Yanho, Yano hits him in the face with the broom, shattering his mask. The assassin falls back from the blow and faints. Everyone looks at Yano in amazement. Yano, holding the broom in his hand, says, "The trash is best cleaned with a broom." When the assassin comes back to his senses, sitting up, he grabs his head, unable to understand what happened. Yonho, holding the broom to him, says to be glad that it ended with just that. "If it were my master, you would have been dead." The assassin gets angry and curses Yonho. to which Yonho starts hitting him with the broom, saying that he was explaining it nicely. The assassin stands, covering his face with both hands, thinking that it's too fast. He moves back to create some distance from Yonho. With his hand in his pocket, he doesn't want to admit it, but he has to. Yonho isn't some loudmouth. Taking out a poisoned dagger, he thinks that in a real fight, the strong don't always win, and today he will make Yonho realize that. Seeing the poisoned dagger, Yonho asks if he doesn't think it's dirty to use that. The assassin, holding the dagger in his hand, says that Yonho can blame all he wants, but Yonho tells him that it won't work on him. The assassin asks if Yonho is saying that he is immune to all poisons. Yonho answers, "Of course not. I didn't boil and eat ginseng roots or anything. Of course poisons work on me. It's not that I'm immune, more like." He appears in front of the assassin in an instant and hits his hand, throwing the dagger away. The assassin, seeing Yonho, thinks that he must block it, but Yonho hits him in the face repeatedly. The assassin, battered and bruised, falls to the ground, and Yonho stands on top of him. Everyone looks at Yonho in disbelief. Yonho says, "My master always says that if the enemy is preparing something grand, don't wait, just knock them down." Sweat dripping down his face, Mukpung thinks that it's impossible to defeat Hukil, the head of the dark force which his father built for years. Yonho, standing calmly with his hands behind his back, says that if he backs down now, they'll both be better off. Mukpung starts clapping with a bright smile, saying that to display such martial prowess at his age is truly excellent. Yonho, flustered while scratching his head, says that he thinks so. Unji asks Yonho why he is pleased about that. Yonho says that Mukpung is praising him, to which Unji curses him back. Mukpung intervenes, saying that it was unfortunate that the leader of the Dark Force wasn't able to take him down, but meeting a martial artist makes it worth it. He asks Yonho if he would like to work for him. Unji screams from behind, asking what he is scheming. Mukpung says to Yonho that if he works for him, then he will give him wealth and power great enough to hold the world in his hands. Yonho, with an expressionless face, says that anyone with a sense of honor would never fall for such words. Unji looks at him with admiration, but Yonho says that he will, and asks for some numbers. Unji, disappointed beyond belief, curses Yonho to die. Li Wangya, furious by Yonho's behavior, asks him if he means power and wealth are that important. Yonho replies that they are, and Mukpung says the same. Moon Unji tells Li Wangya that they definitely are. Then Li Wangya tells Yonho that if he wants wealth and power, then he will give it to him. Mukpung intervenes by asking Yonho what he thinks this old man can give him. He may be the brother of the emperor, but he already relinquished everything. He could only give him a minor post in the inspectorate, but his father can give him wealth and power that everyone would envy. Yonho says to Li Wangya that it does seem that he is a bit ahead. Li Wangya is speechless. Yuan asks, how can aiding a traitor in rebellion and exposing a true rebellion be the same thing? Did his master not teach him about right conduct? He asks Yonho what his master told him to do in situations like these. Yuan thinks that since Yonho mentions his master so often, he must treat his words as law. Surely his master couldn't have taught him something wrong. It must be something helpful to them. Yonho says that his master said that he should side with whichever side pays. Both the old men are baffled by Yonho's words. Yonho tells them that his master said that morality and virtue only give you an empty name. They don't feed you. So don't bother living righteously. Just grab as much as you can when you can. Yuan looks like he is about to faint, thinking, what kind of master says that? Mukpung agrees, saying, what good are morality and virtue? His father values those who help him, and asks Yonho if he will work for his father. Yonho is surprised hearing that he has to work. Unji, seeing the chance, says that they won't make him work, and promises him top-class meals and rest for a lifetime. Mukpung intervenes, saying that he made a mistake. He won't have to work if he doesn't want to, and he will also get the promised rewards. Yonho turns to him and asks, really? Yonho flatters Mukpung, saying that he is really generous, a real man. Both laugh like brothers. On the other hand, everyone else is fuming with anger, thinking that it's all bullshit. Yonho asks Mukpung what he needs him to do. Mukpung replies that first he needs to kill everyone in front of him. They are all rebels, It's only right that he kills them. Unji says that it's nonsense. Yonho asks them then why they plotted treason. Unji says that they never plotted treason, he made it all up and they actually believed him. Yonho says that killing them seems a bit wrong and tells Mukpung that he has never killed anyone before. Then Mukpung tells Yonho to stand aside and asks for his sword to be brought. Mukpung moves forward, saying that he didn't want to soil his hands, but for the nation, there must be no hesitation. Yu Huan, desperate, asks Mukpung to stop, saying that he too learned morality and righteousness. How can a servant of the state commit such treachery? Mukpung, holding his sword above his head, says that what he is doing now is loyalty. Yu Huan closes his eyes in fear of the attack coming and asks his daughter for forgiveness. Just then Yonho says, "That's far enough, don't you think?" Yonho is holding the blade of Mukpung's sword with his fingers. Mukpung asks if he has forgotten everything that they spoke of. Yonho answers that he hasn't, but he will only play along this far. Both hands behind his head, Yonho asks, "Do you know what is essential for living a lazy life? Never create trouble that nags at you." In a flashback, Yonho reveals that once he broke an inkstone his father cherished. And when he was away of all times, his father didn't return for 3 days, and those 3 days waiting was torture for him. When he returned, he beat him within an inch of his life, but after that, he could rest easy. Li Wangya remarks that it would have been better if he died back then, and Unji nods in agreement. Yonho contemplates that his master also said never forget a grudge, but never forget kindness either. A man who doesn't repay what he received will someday have to pay back more than he took. Before the debt becomes even bigger, repay it. No matter how Yonho sees it, now is the time to repay that kindness. Mukpung sighs and says that after all of his grand words, he wants to stop him, and then starts laughing hysterically. Mukpung asks Yonho if he thought that he was bribing him because he feared him. Yonho says that it didn't seem that way. Mukpung raises his hand above his head and uses some martial arts. Numerous hands appear from his chi. He says that it is nothing for him to kill Yonho. He could have killed him whenever he wanted, and Yonho should consider it an honor to die by his hands. Both the old men are stunned, seeing that Mukpung also knows martial arts. The hands shoot out with incredible speed, trying to swarm Yonho, while Yonho stands there calmly. Mukpung, laughing, gives Yonho advice that in his next life he should cast aside that laziness and live diligently. Just when the hands are about to reach Yonho, he states that he has seen this somewhere before. He dodges all the attacks, moves toward Mukpung and appears behind him, and with disappointment asks if it is over. Mukpung, surprised, asks how. Yonho says that he saw everything, so why even ask? He kicks Mukpung in the stomach, sending him crashing to the wall, saying that he will only hit him once.